Okay, everyone should be in now.
All right. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good afternoon. It shouldn't be morning where anybody is. And if it is, you should be on the Lithuanian Taekwondo Union Zoom, not our Zoom. But good afternoon to everybody who's here. Thank you for taking time out of your schedules to jump on this kind of end of the year town hall where we kind of talk about how we want to finish 2024 and then more importantly how we want to kick off 2025. So thank you to everybody who is a part and is ready to get information, to ask questions, to give information. So we come together collaboratively to get this done. Thank you to Donna for all the work she went through to make sure this happens, to Stephen making sure that he lends his uncanny expertise. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Now, at the end of each section, we're blocking it off in sections. We'll open it up for Q&A. If you have questions, you can type those in the chat and we will communicate and get those answers to you where we can. All right. All right, our next slide. So let's talk about memberships and Q4. That's what we're entering right now. It's a really good time to renew your membership. If you have an existing membership, it's a great time to get your membership renewed. It's something that you don't have to worry about come January 1. When the scramble is on, you've already done that. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything possible to put yourself in position to be ready to be a part of what we're going to do in 2025. And it's going to be dope. I'm just telling you, it's going to be dope. All right. Now, not only is it time to renew, but it's also time for you to reach out. You know somebody who used to be a member and tell them, hey, it's a great time to come back. USA Taekwondo is the #1 rated MNA in the world. That is by World Taekwondo. They have looked at not only our governance, but our processes, our performance, our athlete participation in events across all spectrums. And they have said USA Taekwondo is leading the WT in terms of comprehensive impact to its community. And so times have changed. There are some people out there who will not let times change, and they're still holding on to some old ways and some old things. But we want you to understand that times are changing. And so encourage your friends and neighbors. Come on back to USA Taekwondo. Come and be a part of these fantastic things that we are going to do. Now, you see the list of all the things that you can do. I'm not gonna belabor that and read that to you. I do want to talk about one thing specifically, and that's upgrading to lifetime membership. Many of us have been doing Taekwondo for a really long time, and you've been a part of USA Taekwondo for a long time. Rather than having to renew your membership annually, there is an option for you to upgrade to lifetime membership. Now, there are some benefits that you get. There's some swag, there's some identification stuff that you get. We are reaching out to our existing sponsors for discounts, exclusive discounts, but every sponsor coming in subsequently, there have to be benefits to our lifetime members. And so we want to make sure that we are giving you everything that you need to be an active member today, but that these benefits are rolling on for the foreseeable future. And you get complimentary tickets to events and some other stuff. As we roll it out, there are going to be some other advantages to becoming a lifetime member. So please, ma'am, please, sir, won't you consider? Now that's how the telethon people sound. But no, we want you to consider being a lifetime member and make a commitment to being a part of USA Taekwondo for the long haul. And that's what we really want. We want to be a part of the premier organization in the world, and we want to be a part of it for the foreseeable future. Now, are there any questions about memberships? Any thoughts or concerns about memberships? And if you can't think of them now, drop them in the chat. If something pops up in your mind a little later, drop it in the chat and we'll get back around to answering it. All right. That's awesome. So we're going to keep it moving. I'm going to turn it over to Professor Stephen Lambden. He's going to lead us through the next part and get us caught up so that we are good stewards of your time. Take it away, Steve.
Hey guys. Yeah, like Sherman said, try to be a good steward of your time. Run over a couple of things and then get to the senior team trials, which I'm sure a bunch of people probably have questions about, but that's what we're here for. For training through the end of the year, a couple of things to go over. Email blast will go out in the next couple of days, but for the online live sessions for sparring, we've got Big John Healy, Faith Dillon, two of our Olympians, going to be leading sessions for us. From a Poomsae perspective, we have the 2024 World Championships coach and freestyle, what's the word? Not connoisseur, that's wrong. Freestyle expert, AJ Munoz on 1027. So three great back-to-back live sessions, which we've been getting really good feedback from you guys. A couple of things to note about the live sessions is that the majority of the money that comes in on live sessions, again, it's just $19 a month. That money goes directly back to our national teams in one form or fashion or another. Along with that, along those same lines, on 11/9 and 11/10, Christina Teachout's going to be leading a level up camp for us in Michigan, and exact same thing. We pay Christina, obviously, to do that, but then after that, the bulk of the funds that are made with level up camps go straight back to our athletes. So it's a way that not only can you guys get access to the best coaches, best athletes, have actual one-on-one contact with them, but you're also helping to directly fund the national team. Along those same lines, if you're still on the fence, $19 a month, and you get access to all of the past, what we call the vault. So it's all of the past live trainings, Q&As, basically anything that we've ever done on Zoom. And so last I looked, I think there's 20 something, 45-minute to hour-long Zoom sessions that are literally there to help membership get better at and get a few places up the medal stand, hopefully. So I have you jump to the next slide, please, Donna. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the annoying emails that I've sent, the Coach Accelerator program is back. So the USOPC actually really loves this. We love it because it gives our coaches a chance to actually get out to North Carolina, get some hands-on experience, not just with the coaching staff, the USPC, everybody involved at UNC here in Charlotte. But one of the best pieces of feedback that we've gotten is that coaches are getting direct access to work with, for example, Christina, CJ, John, Faith. They're getting direct access to not just see how we go about training, how our methodology, everything like that, but the feedback we've gotten is that people are attempting to, for most part, hopefully having some success, but taking that training environment, the intensity, everything that we do from a professional training program perspective here in Charlotte and take it back to their home gyms and home teams. The cool part about the Coach Accelerator program is obviously you have to be a member, you have to be Safe Sport certified, all that good stuff that comes with being a member. But on top of it, you pay for your travel to get here, and we charge nothing to do it. So we're full up for the rest of the year, but the link is still live. Get in there, put your name in the hat. I promise we will eventually get to everybody that wants to come out here. We have 3 weeks through the end of the year. Again, all 3 of them are already full, but we have 3 coaches per week for each one of those weeks. And for this last little batch, we had a record number of 37 coaches actually apply for the Coach Accelerator program. So I swear to God, we're trying to get you guys as many in as humanly possible without distracting and interrupting the day-to-day training life of the athletes here in Charlotte and UNC. So again, link is live. If it's something that interests you, if you're not even sure and you just want more information about it, hey, I'm happy to have a call about this because a rising tide raises all boats. And fundamentally, as high performance, we believe that, hey, we might be able to reach a kid here and there to teach him, but if we can help coaches raise their game, that's just investing in our future. Because fundamentally, we all like to look at, dominate in 2028, but it's like we've got to be looking at that next generation in 2032 for Australia. And just to backtrack a little bit, because I forgot about it, and I'll go ahead and put it in the chat for everybody. Modern Sport 501, the pre-sales live. There's a code in the chat. If you use level 5 at checkout, it gets you $100 off of pre-launch. Use Dominate in 28, and you go to buy all 5 levels. It's $700 off. These are courses curated and put together by Paul Green himself with the help of Gareth, myself, the athletes, et cetera, et cetera. Again, the whole idea behind it is that doesn't matter where you live. You can live in the middle of nowhere, northern Alaska, and it gives you guys the opportunity to get the training tactics that Team USA here use in Charlotte with the resident athlete program. So I think that's everything for the CAP program. And again, as I'm going, feel free throw any questions you have in the chat, anything like that. I'll try to get towards it. I'll try to get to everything towards the end, obviously. Seminars, the referee seminar, November 15th. Remember, excuse me. The main thing that I wanted to touch on here, especially for everybody on this call, because I know there's a lot of coaches on the call, WT's requiring a sparring certification and a PUMSE certification for G1s and G2s. And yes, unfortunately, they are 2 separate certifications. So please make sure that we all know that coach. Going to say, that's nobody on this call, but we all know that coach that does the, I applied to update my gal, or I applied to update my membership the night before they're supposed to be coaching at US Open. And then they show up at registration and throw a fit because it hasn't been approved yet. There's no better time to get on those WT courses than now. They are held monthly, once a month, but monthly. But please don't be the guy that, hey, the February session's already done and now I can't coach at US Open and somehow it's somebody else's fault. No. We're warning you well in advance. Please remember, whether it's sparring, PUMSE, or both, you need both certifications moving into any international competition working with the WT. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so for the fun stuff for 2025 team trials, I'm sure there's been plenty of chat. The selection procedures went live last week, and I actually have a whole extra set of notes because let's face it, I'm not going to remember everything. There's some interesting changes for our team trials this year. We had a bunch of internal conversations with internal high performance team 5 over at the USOPC, which the USOPC team 5, for those of you that don't know, they're our high performance equivalent. Basically, they help us with selection procedures, and they're kind of our go-to for historical information, everything like that. So, as I'm sure most of you have seen on the schedule, senior team trials for sparring in particular has been split over 2 days, Friday and Sunday. It's been discussed, and we've decided that for our best shot at not just 4 qualifications in LA 2028, because we want more than just the automatic 4 we get as host country. Moving into 2028 for the next quad, we're going to be focusing heavily on Olympic weight categories. So as I already said, there's the split schedule, obviously. If you'll notice on Friday, all the heavier of the 2 weight categories are on Friday that comprise each Olympic weight category. The lighter of the 2 are on Sunday. Why? So a couple of things. What's particularly interesting is when you go back and you look at the Olympic Games and the Olympic Games results, just back since it's been electronic scoring. So 2012 through 2024, 84% of the medalists at the Olympics come from the heavier of the 2 categories that combine that Olympic category. Now, in fairness, I gave benefit of the doubt on a couple of them. A couple of them were debatable. Like I looked at results and they went back and forth, and I could make an argument either way. So in reality, I'd make an argument it's actually more than 84% of the medalists. But I'll be kind, I'll be gracious on those results and benefit of the doubt on those. What gets particularly interesting is in the modern era of Taekwondo, whenever it comes to the Olympics, so 2000 until now, We've never produced a medal at the Olympic Games from somebody who was fighting the lighter of the two weight categories. So to put that in perspective, I would love for a female 46 to show up, rock the world, win the Olympics at 49 kilos in 2028. But based on historical data between not just worldwide results, but Team USA's results, it's part of the reason why we decided that there was going to be a heavier focus on the Olympic categories in 2028. And that's not just from events and team trials, but that's also from a National Academy status. The National Academy, yeah, the National Academy traditionally has tried to field and have residents in all the weight categories, but we don't do that anymore. For example, I fight female 53. Well, no. Olympics, you're a female 57. So there's no athlete at the academy anymore that we view as anything but an Olympic weight category athlete. One of the things behind this, obviously, is we want to encourage not just competition amongst our best athletes at events to prepare for LA, because as a lot of you guys know, I went to nationals. There was only, I burned through everybody else because I'm just a super talented athlete. I only had a tough fight in finals. Well, fundamentally, unless we want to get the exact same results, we have to do things different moving forward. And that's focusing more on these Olympic weight categories because we want to encourage more inter-country competition. Along those same lines, it's potentially, it's being discussed in high performance, potentially even some of our premier national events, potentially moving to Olympic weight categories only for seniors. But that's a little bit further down the line, but just a little bit behind the scenes from that perspective. So for weight changes at team trials for seniors, unfortunately, and this is the least favorite part, this is the least enthusiastic I could possibly be about something that absolutely drives me nuts. But this past year, our national team went to the Pan American Championships, and 25% of our team failed to make weight. As high performance, even the USOPC, frankly, that's unacceptable. It's a weight cutting sport. And in reality, I understand that, there's going to be times so-and-so is sick. They didn't make weight. But 25% of the team not making weight at a Pan American Championships, a Continental Championships, is absolutely unacceptable. So between that, the feedback that we got from our national team athletes, that they basically said, through the Olympics, I feel like I'm stuck. I want to move up a weight division, but all my points are here. I just can't move. Well, the WT has afforded us a wonderful opportunity with the ranking reset. As most of you probably know, it was originally supposed to be the Olympic weight categories that were going to be reset. World rankings were going to stay the same, and WT gonna WT, and the WT reset both world and Olympic rankings. And so between 25% of our athletes not making weight at Pan American Championships, the WT resetting the world rankings, and frankly, the feedback that I got from some of our best athletes about wanting to move but couldn't. One of the things we're implementing for this team trials and not the team trials for the rest of the quad, so it's in conjunction with the reset of the rankings, we're allowing athletes to move plus or minus one division from where they qualified. So the example I'll give you is, if I qualified at female 57, I could theoretically sign up for one division at team trials. So it's not like you can sign up for multiple, but I could fight 53, I could fight 57, or I could move up. I could fight any one of those three weight categories. A couple of things to note about that. You'll be seeded based on the results in the category that you sign up for. So if I have all my results in 57 and I'm an absolute killer and I've never fought 53 before, but I decide this year I'm going to fight 53, I'm going to be seeded by my results in 53. So for example, I've never fought an event at 53. I've moved down to 53. I'm probably not going to have a great draw. It's just the way it is. Because again, we want to reward people who are consistently performing in divisions. The one exception to this is if I'm an Olympian and I move weights. The only seed that stays the same is if you're an Olympian. Along, just quickly mention and reiterate, this is only being offered at this team trials. We're not going to do it the rest of the quad. So the message we're trying to send to our athletes is that, hey, first of all, we hear you. Like, yeah, 100%. If it was up to us, hey, oh, we could email the WT every month and you could change weights 20 times throughout the year based on your body, because fundamentally we know athletes in particular, their bodies change all the time. And so to ask them to hold a weight for 4 years can be a little bit of an uphill battle. And so the message we want to send to athletes is we don't like unhealthy weight cuts. Like it's unacceptable. It's not high performance fundamentally. We want athletes moving forward into LA 2028 showing us their absolute best at the weight division that they can actually maintain, because it doesn't matter if you're absolute world championship gold medal winning quality at team trials if you get to world championships and you can't make weight. Again, like I said, 25% of the team didn't make weight at Pan Am championships, which is just fundamentally unacceptable. Couple other changes. Auto qualified athletes, to auto qualify for the world championships next year and be the automatic team member, you have to finish in the top 6 of the Olympic rankings as of the January 1, 2025 rankings. We've done this before in the past. That's not anything new. Just like to point out that say, for example, I have an athlete in my division that's Olympic #1. You'll be offered an opportunity, especially with the fact that you can now move down or up one weight division, that when that happens, oh, he got #1, I'm #7, I just missed out in forcing a fight off. Well, don't worry, you're going to be allowed to move to one of those other weight divisions. So you don't have to feel like, what, I'm going to go all the way to Portland to fight for an alternate spot. That division will still be contested. So if, hey, you know what, I'm CJ Auto qualifies, I qualified for team trials at 80 kilograms, you know what, I can still show up and contest the division for the alternate spot, because you know what, I'm an 80, I live and die as an 80, like I'm not moving for anybody. Sure, pal, we'll absolutely still contest that weight category, but people will have the opportunity to move up or down. So the biggest change in the packet for team trials that I'm sure is going to lead to some questions. If you compete in one of the divisions on Friday, so one of the heavier divisions, i.e. 49, 57, so on, if you compete in one of those divisions and you get a second place finish. So you know what? I'm the national team alternate, in an effort to encourage more inter-country competition, for lack of a better way to put it. A silver medalist on Friday will be given the opportunity to declare a division that day and fight on Sunday. Because as a lot of people in this call know, the bulk of our best athletes tend to all fight one of a couple of weight divisions. And fundamentally, from a high performance perspective, we want to move into world championships with the absolute best team possible, because we show up at worlds, we clean house, funding goes up, we can put more funding back into the athletes. And so a couple of things to go through on that. Again, everybody has this opportunity. It's not just exclusive to the athletes that naturally fight those weights on Friday, because, hey, you want to show us your stuff. You know that we're going to be focusing on Olympic weight categories. You qualified at 53, but you decide, you know what? Hey, I'm going to go fight 57. I'm going to go take that Olympic weight category spot. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Everybody has that opportunity since they can move weights. To go through a couple of things about that, say hypothetically I take a silver medal on Friday. Eric is going to come to me and say, and have me, first of all, hey, do you want to compete in one of the divisions on Sunday? Yes, absolutely. Okay, which division? All right, I'm going to pick that division. I'm going to sign the paperwork right there. The next day, you have to weigh in for the competition on Sunday. There's not going to be any of that Patu tomfoolery of, I weigh in once and guess what? I can fight 6 tournaments over the next 5 days and I never have to weigh in again. No. You absolutely have to weigh in for Sunday's competition. Along those lines, Saturday morning, I wake up, I decided I was going to try and fight the lighter division. I'm super heavy, I can't make that weight. Hey, Eric, can I change divisions? Nope. No changes on the day of weigh-in. So when Eric comes to me with that paperwork and says, hey, as the alternate for this division, you're qualified, you can fight on Sunday. Is there a division you'd like to fight? make sure you actually pick the division that you're gonna be able to make, because fundamentally we're not allowing that weight division change on Saturday morning. Say, so I take the opportunity, I fight on Sunday. Say I win on Sunday. It's important to note that, all right, now, I lost in 57 on Friday. I went to 53. I won on Sunday. That athlete, i.e., me in this situation, would vacate the alternate spot for the 57 division, and the alternate becomes the highest finishing person in that weight category that lost to the actual national team member. And then one other thing that I wanted to make sure and hammer home on this is that I've got all my ranking points in, plus 87, and I'm just going to pick heavy because I'm obviously biased towards heavy being a heavyweight. I go to fight minus 87 on Sunday. If I don't have any points, I haven't done anything. I'm going to be seeded based on what I've done in that weight divisions. Unless I'm an Olympian, unless I'm a 2024 Olympian, I should say, it doesn't carry over to the lighter weight division. Last thing, and then I'll take questions because I'm sure there's going to be some hypotheticals thrown at me that I'm honestly kind of excited for. International athletes, we've made a little bit of a change here. If an international athlete has the proper release paperwork, it's been submitted by their MNA to the WT to USA Taekwondo, and they've changed their GAL to Team USA, as long as they meet the same international requirement, the same requirements of the international pipeline outlined in the World Championship selection procedures, they'll be eligible for our team trials. The one thing I should specify on this is, all right, I'm coming from Canada. I've got the release from Canada. I've submitted it to the WT. I've submitted it to USA Taekwondo. I've had my GAL changed over. I'm Olympic #1 in 49. Okay, unfortunately, because you are an international athlete coming into our pipeline for the first time, you don't get to skip the whole process. So, an international athlete coming in is ineligible for an automatic selection to the national team. You have to actually fight a team trial. So nobody has to worry about, I'll be super dated on this reference, but nobody has to worry about Dae-Hoon Lee showing up from Korea and stomping everybody. Like, no, it's and getting to skip fighting, I should say. Dae-Hoon's got to show up and fight just like everybody else. You can't skip the entire process. But we're allowing those international athletes who meet the exact same international requirements as our athletes access to a team trials, potentially opening up our pipeline to a deeper and richer talent pool. So I threw a crazy amount of information out at you guys. Interesting enough, like I said, most of this kicked off, and I'll say, if you have questions, type it up. I'll vamp here for a minute before I turn it back over. And just to backtrack based on questions, if you want to coach Poomsae if you want to coach Poomsae next year, yes, there is a WT Poomsae certification that you're going to need for all international events, just like a coach needs for sparring. They are two different certifications. I should specify that. Okay, so like I said, moving over the next 4 years, questions for ranking points. Can someone explain the details about age up to next divisions, but losing 50% of your ranking points? If yes, I think the age up athlete should carry 100% of their ranking points. If not, it's almost restarting from the bottom to catch up to high ranking point holder. Sir, madam. Hey, Coach Yang, that's a good point. Yeah, 100%. So the idea behind, and this trickles down from the WT, the idea behind why ranking points cut in half for an athlete that's aging up. All right, I'm a junior. I won junior world championships. I get all these points. As I move up, there's a drop in total valuation of those points. Fundamentally, the thinking by WT was that no matter how good an athlete is, they shouldn't be able to jump in. And I'll say this with a grain of salt, because points wise, I don't think there's any division that they could do it in. I shouldn't be able to win junior world championships and show up and be Olympic #2 in a senior weight category. Just because I'm world champion at the 200 meter doesn't mean I get automatically seeded into a final for the 100 meter. So while I understand what you're saying of, oh yeah, like they should carry 100% of their points at the same time. Like, no, everybody that's world or Olympic ranked and is high up there, they had to go out and earn those points. And frankly, based on the historical data of your Jay Joneses, some of the Olympic medalists in 2024, if you are a high performing junior, the odds are that you will be a high performing senior. So yeah, I understand that. That's a tough one to do. Absolutely. But the thinking based by the WT is, hey, yes, we'd like to give them some advantage. So it's not just a waste. We want to incentivize athletes fighting big events, junior world championships, competing at those, et cetera, et cetera. But at some point, it's a disservice to the athletes who are currently competing in a division to have someone who's never fought the division show up and be massively ranked higher than me. So, yeah, I guess I'll turn it back over to Sherman again. If you guys have questions, you can throw them in the chat. I'll respond in text. I'll give you another chance at the end because there's a lot of changes to, especially there's a lot of changes to the senior sparring team trials in 2025, and we want to make sure everybody is at least comfortable with them. You might disagree about the thinking and the ideology of high performance, and I'm always happy to hear that out. I'm always happy to listen, but this is the methodology and the approach that we're going to be taking over the next 4 years. And all right, even if you're too shy, I guess, to say something or ask a question on this call, hey, my email's listed on the website, and I'll throw it in the chat here. I'm always happy to set up a call and answer any questions anyone has about selection procedures. So I think that's about as long as I can vamp. And as far as being a good steward of your time, I will turn it back over to Sherman because my voice is going.
All right. So to be a good steward, you turn it over to the preacher, huh? So we clearly have thrown.
Oh, my hands are clean.
Okay, pilot. So let's talk about, and thank you, Stephen, for it seems like a lot of information, but it's so necessary. And it is a change. And we talk about it in our high performance staff, but specifically, Stephen and I talk about it because the procedures haven't really fundamentally changed in 20 years. And so it's necessary that we at least look at how do we do something different. I see team members on this Zoom, and the procedures are exactly the same that the way they were when Stephen made the team, when Linda made the team, when I made the team. At some point in a generation, we have to be bold enough to say, what needs to change so that we can be competitive? And so is every change going to be absolutely perfect? No, we're not etching them in stone, but we are willing to make those changes, having done the due diligence of the research leading up to it. And we've been talking about this for over a year. And so I just don't want people to think that we're just out willy-nilly making changes and just for experimental sake. No, we're making changes because we really believe that these changes are important for us to achieve our goals. We want to qualify 8 athletes in 2028, but there has never been a Taekwondo goal as high as that. That is the single highest goal that USA Taekwondo or USTU or AAU, that's what USATKD was before it became USTU. In 50 years, we've never set a goal this high. And so we're going to have to be willing to stretch, and we're going to have to be willing to get beyond where we're comfortable. We're going to have to be willing to make some relationships. We're going to have to be willing to bury the hatchet and bring some people back, and bury the hatchet and put some people out. We're going to have to be willing to make whatever changes are necessary to move this. Stephen said it, I'll reiterate it. A high tide lifts all ships, but we can't have people putting holes in the bottom of the boat. So we have to have the boldness to go forward. And that requires transparency. Transparency does not mean telling you everything we're doing, but it does mean talk clearly about what we are doing. We don't have to tell you everything we're thinking, but we do have to stand behind what we do. And you do have a right as stakeholders to ask questions, and we have a responsibility to answer those. We don't get to brush you off just because you ask hard questions. And so that's part of the integrity. That's actually being kind to people. It's kind to answer hard questions. Being nice is giving in a pat answer that doesn't really satisfy your question. All right. So as we move forward, and we also want to ask if there are any questions about the other team trial divisions, because we talked about seniors, but I've been fielding questions from a number of cadets and juniors who did not know that they had to compete at the national championships in order to be able to compete at the team trials. And USA Taekwondo will take 12.5% of the culpability, because on our pathway, we put a yellow box, the only yellow box, but it was not the entire screen. And so moving forward, the entire screen will be a flashing yellow box that says, these are the requirements to qualify for the team trials. And I'm being facetious, but the reality is, just because it makes sense to us and we know where to look, we can't assume that 10,000 people will look at that same page and reach the same conclusion. So that's why we take 12%. The other 77.5% or 87.5%, that's on coaches. And I had a parent say, well, we didn't know. I said, well, what did your coach say? Oh, we didn't talk to him. Okay. So there's where the fundamental breakdown is supposed to go, because this Taekwondo expert that is supposed to be the one asking these questions and checking. And so we're going to do our part to make sure that nothing has even the remote hint of being obscure. We want transparency to be the thing that you think of when you think of communication from USA Taekwondo. So if you have questions at the end, bring those back. All right. Athletes. We talk about our pyramid. We talk about the base. We talk about our elite athletes, our resident academy athletes. That's the pinnacle of our pyramid. What if I position to you that we actually have multiple pyramids? And so we have a pyramid of aspiring athletes, and then we have another pyramid of elite athletes. And so we want to make sure that we are investing in both pyramids. Historically, it's all been under one, and almost literally all of our funding from the USOPC is concerned with the top of the pyramid, because they just can't afford for every NGB to be funded at the grassroots, at the aspiring athlete level. They just don't have the resources for that. All right. So then it becomes incumbent upon us to take care of the bottom portion of our pyramid. Well, now we want to separate and make two pyramids, but there's a bridge. At the top of the aspiring athlete pyramid, there's a bridge that leads you into the elite athlete pyramid. So let's talk about aspiring athletes. Those are those athletes that are in non-WT protected divisions. Black belt. So that's everybody else. All right, that's color belts, that's ultras, that is cadet black belts kind of live on that bridge because they are largely aspiring, but there are levels of elite athlete in them, especially for those athletes about to age up into juniors. But we want to create more opportunities for growth. We want that opportunity for growth to begin at the seed level. The seed level is the state level. Actually, the seed level is the club level. The seed level is the club level, which is why we want to offer education to all coaches so that in your club, athletes are made better. And then we want clubs to come together in your state to make athletes and coaches and referees better. And then we want states to come together in regions to make athletes, coaches, and referees better. We will be rolling out a new draft of our regional program. And when the clarion call goes out to ask for your assistance in leadership, I want you to answer that call. Because our high performance team is 4 people. There's no way we can manage all of this at one time, but our membership has all of the capacity within it. We don't need any external help. We don't need anybody from outside of our country to come in and provide leadership. We have amazing coaches, leaders, club owners, businessmen, businesswomen. We have all the material we need. We just need a structure so that you can be your highest and your best. So we want to support states, and we want to support regions, and we want to support clubs. We want to support families. We're tiering our memberships because there are some members of your family that just want to be a member so that they can watch a live stream. And Mima and Papa, they don't want to come to a dojang. They don't want to come to a tournament. They just want to have somebody turn on the computer or the TV so that they can watch their grandson or granddaughter, and they can come along and they can be supportive of the organization. We have to think about the entire Taekwondo family. And that's what I really want you to get across. We are refining our vision to look at the entire Taekwondo family, from the participants and the non-participants. If your family comes to a national championships and your little brother and little sister come, what's there for them to do? They don't do Taekwondo, but we have activities for them to do because they are a part of our extended Taekwondo family. And so that's what we focus on with our aspiring athletes. Now, in our elite athlete pool, we are a little more stringent. It is a little more reductionist because we are now trying to create the very, very best. In our aspiring athletes, we welcome all comers. Come as you may. In elite athletes, we have to whittle that down to the very, very best so that when we go to competitions, Stephen and I, again, talk about in our day, it was inconceivable that 25% of the team wouldn't make weight. When Linda was on the national team, it was inconceivable that that would happen. And I blame our generation because we handed it over to athletes and coaches and we didn't uphold some standards. Well, we're reinstating a lot of those standards with our elite athletes. Our goal for our elite athlete program, the primary goal, unfortunately, in the Olympic quad, the primary goal is the Olympic Games. We want 8 in the LA 28. But to do that, we have 2 world championships. We have a Pan Am Games. We have Junior Pan Am Games. We have Grand Prix challenges and Grand Prix. We have a dearth of other competitions that all are giving us intel toward that 8 and 28. All right. We want to continue to strengthen our Poomsae pipeline. Listen, our Poomsae team is arguably the best Poomsae team in the world. But what does it need to be that without the argument? We know it needs, we know resources are the number one thing, but I just want to present this to you. Money without a plan doesn't make anything better. You got to have a plan for the money or the money will spend itself. So we need a plan. We need to reinvigorate our Poomsae process. How are we going out and recruiting athletes? How are we identifying coaches? What is our process for strengthening this Poomsae pipeline? And the very same thing applies to our para athletes. We've been fortunate. We've gotten medals at each Paralympic Games. But we can't let that drop because we're hosting the games in 2028. But when do we actively go out and recruit para athletes? When do we go out and recruit coaches? When do we talk about it with the same vigor, the same energy that we do able-bodied? Yes, we need funds, but we also need a vision, and we also need a mission, and we also need a plan. And so we want to continue to pour into our para athletes. I know, Johnny, you talk about it, but I ain't talking about you, Johnny Burks. Don't do that. I'm talking about we overall. And it's good to see you on here, brother. We want to identify what's necessary to build our sparring academy. If we want to qualify 8 athletes in 2028, we're going to need a minimum of 16 high-performing athletes so that Stephen and Gareth can run them through the ringer, and then we can hopefully get something out of that. We're going to need the same thing with our para athletes. Eventually, sooner than you think, Poomsae is going to be added into the Olympic Games. What is that going to take? We're not going to wait for them to announce a division. We're going to have a plan before they announce the division. We got to focus on coaching development at the regional level. The national program, the CAP program, kudos to Stephen for being a coach who wants to empower other coaches. But we need that mindset to be translational. Everybody needs to be, I want to make myself better and everybody else better. We need quality referees. Every camp should have athletes, coaches, and referees being made better. I want to sound unpatriotic for a moment, but don't take it the wrong way. The myth of American exceptionalism is just that. Our athletes, coaches, and referees are not exceptional by magic. They're exceptional by work. They're exceptional by plans. They're exceptional by design. So we can have American exceptionalism when we put the work behind it. But to just say we're from the US, and so what accommodations are you making for us? Don't give us nothing. We don't need handouts. We need to reach back and have hand ups. We need to lift people up. So from a regional level, athletes, coaches, and referees, it's our job to develop you, but we got to identify you. Fundamentally, the CAP program would be the RAP program. It wouldn't be the app program because that sounds goofy. But RAP sounds good. Referee Accelerator Program. How do we get referees in the program? We get coaches in the program. We get everybody involved in the process of being made better. And those are the two pyramids that we're working with. Those are the two areas that we're working on. Where it says athletes, but when you see athletes, think coach, referee. Because you cannot have quality athletes without quality coaches. And the game cannot be properly adjudicated without quality referees. It is essential for us moving forward that we strengthen our entire pipeline, not just the flow, but the infrastructure as well. So the question you're going to hear over and over again, the statement you're going to see is be next. Be next. Be the next great referee. The next great referee chairman is being developed right now. The next great national team head coach is being developed right now. The next Olympic gold medalist is in the process of being developed right now. Be next. Is that you? It can be. It's available to everybody. The opportunity is available. We have to come together. We are never going to build a sustainable thing if we do it fractured. If you don't hear anything else, I'm saying, hear me say this. We want everybody who wants to be a part to be a part. But if you want to do your own thing and you want to get all the shine and you want us to tout you and we have to post about you every week, we don't have room for that. We don't have the bandwidth for that. We don't. But there is room if you can play well with others. If you can put the individual, and listen, this generation, you don't know Taekwondo drama because some of us lived through an era of a different kind of drama. We can get it all done. We can make a difference. But to make a difference, we got to do something different. And so there are athletes, coaches, there are business owners, dojang owners, grandmasters, master instructors. There are parents out there that have business acumen for years and months and eons. You are astute. You know all about 501c3s and sponsorships and donations. When the call goes out, when we need help with funding and fueling and staffing our foundation so that we can generate the funds that we need, when we ask, you got to answer. Because we are going to ask. We cannot subsist on the funding that we've gotten historically. Because that funding was beneficial when the national team used to have one event a year. They did the whole, in 12 months, you had one event. Now there is an event every month that we need to take high-performing athletes to and coaches. And sometimes we have multiple events. We need a bigger coaching staff. But to have a bigger coaching staff, we got to be able to fund that to a degree. So here's my question to you. You don't have to drop it in the chat. You can send us an email, Donna's email, Steven's email, my email is all available. How do you want to help? And when I ask that question, that doesn't mean you say, I want to be the head coach. And that doesn't mean we're going to say, okay, because we're going to say, all right, you want to be a head coach. Well, how about you be a regional coach? How about you start there? Because if you're too big to serve, then you're too big to be served. If it's not in your wheelhouse to help and develop others, then you're too big for us. And if you that vicious, we're gonna let you go and do your thing somewhere else. But if you can serve, if you can help, if you have a little bit of kindness and you competitive, got a little bit of integrity, you bold enough, come on, we got room. We got enough work to do. And we want to make sure that there's room for everybody. All right. So think about that. How can you help and how would you like to help? And then what do you need? What does USA Taekwondo need to do for you? Because if we ask you to serve, you have a right to ask us to serve you. All right. But if you only ask to be served and you never ask for an opportunity to serve, yeah, you know what that makes you. I won't say it, but you know what it is. All right. So I see a bunch of little things popping up in the chat. And we will talk about answering questions. Stephen, and I know you probably have answered some of these because I'm on enough Zoom calls with you. I can tell when you're typing. So, and shout out to our Director of Education, the incomparable Timothy Ulysses Thackeray. Thank you you ought to know his middle name was Ulysses. Yeah. Neither did he. But somebody. Oh, all right. So there's a Poomsae question. I'll take that one. As a nonprofit, the board of directors disclose our finances. Profits disproportionately go towards sparring. Why?
That was me answering someone. Just FYI.
Oh, that was you. That's the ad at the top. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, because because I don't want people to think that we don't think about these things. I don't want you all to think that we don't think about Poomsae, that we don't see our Poomsae athletes as our national team. Our athletes are our athletes. In your individual club, your red belts and your blue belts and your green belts, they're all your belts. Just because they're a different rank, just because they do different things, that doesn't mean. But historically, I can understand why you have felt that way. And I'm just asking you to believe that a change is in the offing. We are trying to make this substantive change. It's hard to change a paradigm, though. And it takes all hands on deck to turn this wheel. But we are making incremental, and hopefully we can make larger changes. So if there are any other questions, you can, Donna, can they unmute themselves? Okay, if you have a question, you just want to ask it instead of typing it. Let's take a few moments for Q&A. We have like 5 minutes. And if there aren't any, we will let y'all go.
Oh, there's got to be somebody.
I know. Now, if y'all don't have questions, but now, just so you know that when you get off of here and you go and start reforming what you heard into a different story, we will hear it. You do know that we know the same people that y'all know, right? And
normally I'd 100% agree with you, Sherm, but no, leadership starts top down, and we've established that no, it's a different culture moving forward. The nonsense of we need to bring back trembling shock. Hey, you know what? Sure, maybe, but we live in the universe where we have to follow the rules the WT and the IOC mandate, and it's like, no, this is like, hey, you might hate Dado, that's fine. Guess what? I don't particularly like equestrian. You know how much I watch equestrian? None. And so it's like, if anything, the cultural shift that we're going with moving forward is that no, this is all about getting athletes on the medal stand, whether it's Poomsae World Championships, Poomsae at the Olympic Games, Paralympics, whatever it is. Our entire job is getting athletes on that medal stand. And okay, guess what? Somebody decides to start talking crazy on Facebook. You already know that I'll say something. Sure, everybody here knows Sherman will say something. So no, culturally moving forward, we're done with that. That's in the past. We're about Team USA now.
All right, Coach Dave has a question. If we currently have a family membership, how do we convert to lifetime membership? Does each, oh man, Donna, you ain't gonna just type in the answer while I'm still reading. That's so disrespectful. Y'all think Donna is nice. Y'all should see how she treats me. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible, I tell you. All right, so check with Sarah Ross. She'll get you squared away. Question. Okay. The suspense is built. You could just unmute and just tell us because it's going to take you a really long time to type it.
While we're waiting on Coach Demetrius's question, Jonathan Lee, it's almost cost prohibitive nowadays to be a referee for events. What's being done about that? You know what? Hey, that's a conversation. I've already made a note about it. That's a conversation we're going to have in high performance this coming week, because fundamentally we need better referees, even though it doesn't impact our athletes directly because they're not allowed to ref them, say at the Olympic Games. Again, a rising tide brings all boats higher. And so it's the exact same thing with referees. If we're sending out better referees, it's going to raise the standard, which is going to in turn affect our athletes. So I'm about it. Let's figure it out.
Now, one of the ways that we deal with cost prohibition is by either reducing the cost or increasing the payout. And that requires funding outside of what exists. See, the problem is we've tried to take what exists and stretch it to do and meet everything that could be. And that just is not sustainable. That's not tenable. So what we have to do now is find new ways to increase the revenue so that there can be a better parlay to those athletes, coaches, and referees. And that's the plan. Miss Jewel has her hand up, our Olympic bronze medalist, 1988.
So a quick question and a quick comment. There was just a comment about talking about referees in the next high performance, but the high performance team are not international referees. So I would think you would definitely have your referee board representative be a part or take charge of that conversation with regards to referees, so that it's impartial and selective, and you are getting the best referees because you're grading them at every competition and giving them on the spot feedback.
Oh, absolutely. So Stephen's point of high performance is going to make a recommendation to our referee chair. Hey, here are some ideas that we have about improving the environment for referees. So all we are is adding a voice to the voice that was in the thread. But we don't have anything to do with the decision making, but we do know that we have a voice and the four of us are loud and we will make sure that we're heard. So you're absolutely right.
And my next question is, I love your comment about asking people who want to be involved, how do they want to be involved, and what do they want to also get out of it. My question is, if there's an individual involved currently right now and they think that there's someone better for that position or someone better in another position, will we as a family be big enough to admit, I may not know everything. Actually, I may know that Sherman knows a little bit more than me. So I'm going to step away or step down or step to the side and let Sherman take the lead. Are we going to be big enough as a family to do that?
That's a beautiful question. Human beings are not historically big enough to do that. But here's what I would say. If you feel that you are able to do a job that someone else is doing as well as they can do it, that's all conjecture until you're actually in that job. But what you can do is come alongside and lend support. If I think I really have an education background that would be beneficial, rather than trying to supplant Tim, I come alongside Tim and see if I can lend aid to Tim. And then we make Tim will either recognize, hey man, this dude next to me is as good as me. How can we fracture off and then accomplish twice as much? And so
Sherm, we got like 20 seconds.
Oh, and so that's about it. One country, one family, that's all. Yep, sorry.
FYI, guys, I've gone ahead and I've thrown the our contact info Oh, as a matter of fact, I sent it to one person. So I'll send it to everybody.
Donna
Our
said sent it
contact
to
info.
everybody.
Killer.
All right. Listen, thank you all. We appreciate your time. Again, email us. You have the email addresses. Email us, follow up, and hold us accountable, because we're definitely gonna hold you accountable. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and go USA.